Okay, this demonstration is for the oil pastel project for drawing one. In this project, like the way that I do a lot of my classes, I always like to give you guys a good overall experience of different mediums, that are considered a drawing medium. Medium is just what it's made out of. So a value, or like a pencil drawing, is the medium is pencil. A chalk pastel project would be chalk, and stuff like that. So oil pastel here's a couple brands. This is Portfolio, no, it's Craypos, Expressionist, and Pentel is another one. They come in different sizes. This one is much thicker than this one. You will use your pencil sharpener on here because one side is for a pencil, the other one's for like a thicker pencil, or we use it for our oil pastels. Downside is when I buy these large ones, they still fit, but just barely. I think the Portfolios, so the Portfolio series, which is a little bit of a higher quality, do not fit in there. But these Expressionists do, thank goodness. Otherwise, Portfolio ones, while they are kind of a little bit higher quality, they just don't fit in. So I don't buy them as much anymore. Otherwise, Pentel is still a good brand as well. And you'll have to kind of peel back on this. A lot of times when people feel oil pastel, they're reminded of a crayon. The crayon is a wax-based product, and oil pastel is an oil-based product, okay? So when first time I used oil pastel, I hated it. I learned it in college. We did all these color theory things that were just boring as all get out, and I just never liked it. And then until I started teaching, it was actually over at Outer Grant a long time ago when I used to teach over there. I had a student that did a piece, and she did an amazing job, and then I got into it, and it actually became one of my favorite mediums to draw on. And out of all this stuff, maybe not pencil so much, just if I think about how far back, but oil pastel, I've done a lot of pieces with oil pastel. Okay, so I hope you're excited about this one. You do have the documents online. You'll be able to kind of look at, and you'll bring that into Cami. And you'll be able to edit that if you don't have access to the printed copy of this. If you want to print it off and do it that way, that's fine too. Whatever kind of works for you. So it says sketch out 2 ideas for this project. It talks about non-objective versus objective. So a non-objective idea, and use pencil. I'm using Sharpie so you can see better. A non-objective idea is where, let's say for instance, this is my paper. Your paper is going to be 16 by 20 inches. So this is kind of about it, is that you would work with geometric shapes. So here's kind of a half circle. Here is a line. Here is a line. There is a line. There's another circle. There's one. This is not a very good design. There's a shape right there. It looks like a lightning bolt. It just talks about shapes. And it talks about the appreciation of shapes. There's not a meaning behind it. But with any good art, there are principles that you've learned in middle school called principles of design. And one of them is a focal point. If you end up doing a non-objective piece, and I have examples up here, you want to be able to get the viewer to look in one spot. So everything kind of coalesce around something, or your lines just kind of pointing towards a certain part on there, where there's going to be up here, it's going to be over here. And you can do that with shapes, and you can do that with colors. If the whole thing was warm colors, like your yellows, your reds, your yellows, your reds, your yellow, red, and orange. And then all of a sudden you have a blue circle in there. Your eyes are going to go to that blue circle. Okay, so that becomes a focal point because it's so unique. So this is one idea. And you can I just want you to sketch something out. If this is the one you end up going with, you might want to do a couple other sketches on a scrap sheet of paper to figure out what you want to do. The objective idea, this is where you can just list it. So I have some things down here. These are all objective. And I said cartoon or like video game or app game characters. And I would kind of encourage that. If you want to do something a little bit different, that's fine. But it's something that you want to be able to outline in black when you're done with it, because that outline makes your colors pop and they look really, really cool when you get done with it. So we kind of go over that in your demonstration. So like here I have like the Lion King, I got Goofy, something from Donkey Kong. This is from Wind Waker, I think so, or Zelda. PJ Masks, if you're into them at all. What you are looking for in all these is that they do have values where they go from, from a light color to a darker color. It's just not black here, red here, orange here. If you find something like that, I'm going to say you need to find something different, because then I can't give you the A that you probably deserve. So don't worry about that so much for right now, but just list objective ideas. So you can start putting some of these down. So you can think of your Disney. So I can just write down Disney, but come up with something a little more specific. And I could find artwork for it, but I'm kind of watching the Mandalorian series right now. Mandalorian, I cannot spell. But you could have that. I could put down Little Mermaid. When you start doing artwork, take it from two perspectives. Either some artwork I want to make for myself, or a piece of artwork I want to make for somebody else. Okay. Never do art for a grade. It just loses its spirit. So while you might not be excited about oil pastel, then find a subject that you're really excited about. And if you could say, well, I really don't want to do cartoons or game characters, that's fine. You could type in like oil pastel flowers if you're really into that. Or you could find almost anything that some artists had done with it. So just come up with, I would say, 5 or 6 ideas in here. Reflect on how non-objective artwork can still affect our emotions by comparing 2 different pieces together and write about it. So what I would do on here is look up here. So I have these pieces. Hopefully you can kind of figure out which ones are the objective, which ones are the non-objective. So again, non-objective is an appreciation for shapes and lines and colors. If you have a tree in there, it's no longer non-objective. It's objective because the object is a tree. So this is non-objective. These are little mannequins, wood mannequins. So those are objective. Again, non-objective is just a circle and square. This teeters on it a little bit, but I see a sun here. I see mountains and hills. So this is objective, okay? Now you could argue, well, this looks like atoms and a nucleus and stuff like that. If you want to kind of go that route, you can. That's where art gets a little gray. Obviously this is Iron Man. So reflecting on these, or whatever, and you should have a color copy online. If you look at that, colors help out a lot more with emotions. Reflect on these. And come up with like 3 sentences. So reflect on how non-objective artwork, like this, affect our emotions by comparing 2 different pieces together and writing about them. So it says, look at this one, and how is our emotion affected by these? Okay? Because non-objective can really play around with your emotions. It can make you happy, it can make you sad. And why? Why does it? And come up with 3 sentences. Okay? Next part. I'm going to switch over to another one because I got all this marker on here. Designing artwork for different parts of a personal space. So I will use that. Go in. I'm going to use a different Sharpie. Maybe this one will still show up. So one thing I want you to consider is a lot of times we make artwork and then we find a place at our house or our apartment of where it's going to go. We're going to do a reversal of that, because one of the things that as artists I want you to kind of think about a little bit is thinking of the space first and then what art would go inside of it. So as artists and designers, sometimes we have to do a reversal thinking. For example, we are so used to making artwork and taking it home and then trying to figure out where to display it. Let's do the opposite. Think of each of these rooms and come up with an idea or two of what you could make for it. So you have your bedroom, kitchen, you know, brother or sister's room. You don't have to fill all these out because it says fill 8 of the 12. So I got 9 here, 10, 11, 12. So you only have to fill 8 of these out. So if you don't have a brother or sister, obviously you would just cross that one out. Bathroom, hopefully you have one of those. Living room, dining room, hallway, laundry room, you know, TV room. And if you have a room that's not listed on here, I mean, you could cross that off and put something, I don't know what you'd have. Maybe you have a sauna. You could, which would be cool. You could put that down. Or are you going to gift it? Okay. So that's where I'm thinking, you know, do you have a brother or sister that's going off to college next year? Or do you have an aunt that loves elephants or stuff like that? So kitchen, think of a kitchen. What would be an idea? What could you find? What could you do an oil pastel of that would fit in the kitchen? And so this gets away a little bit of the character idea and gets into just a different way of thinking about it. And that's fine. Okay, it doesn't have to be a character. It's just an idea. So kitchen, yep, you probably already said it. Maybe I could find some sort of a bowl of fruit. Living room, I have no idea. Bathroom, maybe like something from a seashore. Seashore. I got me thinking about Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Something like that. So something like that might be kind of fun. Or if you have like on your shower curtain, you have like, what are those, seahorses, you know? So everybody's different on here. Come up with one idea, or you can come up with 2. And then gifting, I'm going to say brother. And then I'm going to say the Minnesota Gophers. And you can come up with something else. So this is thinking about the end result prior to starting the project. Okay, so get that done. Once you have completed this packet, you will have you'll have access to a Google slideshow, and you'll find a slide on there. Put your name on it. You put 3 ideas down on there, and then you'll write a little thing about which one is your favorite idea, your second, your third idea, and then I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna kind of decide, is this something that this person could get an A on, or something. So I want to have a little bit of say what you do, mainly because I want to make sure you do good on the project. Okay, so let's look at this last part. This is the rubric. So you don't turn the sheet in until you're done with the project. Okay, I know I'm going to have some of you that are going to turn this in right when you get the drawings done. But it says written answers, 5 points, self-grade, so out of 5 points. If you did everything on here, you give yourself 5 points. If you did not do everything on here, go back and do everything on there, okay, and give yourself 5 points. So we can say that I got 5 points there. Drawing samples complete, you know, that's what this is. If this is all done, it's like, gosh, I did a great job on that. Give yourself 5 points. So 5 plus 5 is 10, so you add that on. This is what I'm grading on. So successfully blend one oil pastel into another to create a gradient. That's 20 points, which means it's 40% of your project. That means it's 40% of your project. That's almost half. That is why when you select something that you want to do, I want to make sure that it does go from like a dark orange to a light orange to a yellow to a light orange to a dark orange to a red, that it has that. Because if you don't have that, you'd either have to come up with it or lose 40% of your grade. Okay, so it has to have those transitions. So if you have something like The Simpsons, you have Bart Simpson, you could find artwork that somebody's done on him that has those grades, but most of his stuff, most of Patrick, is pink, okay? And then you would have a purple, and you'd have a light purple. But there's no gradients, okay? So you've got to find something that has it. Keep crisp lines and have strong contrasting colors, black outline. So you need that black outline on there. And the reason why we practice it is because I do expect you to have that on your actual project, because again, that's 10 points or 20% of your grade. Control the oil pastel and keep it clean, which means if it's a mess, you lose those 5 points. Add all that up, put on there. You put everything on our Sonia, which means that when I grade this, this should all be turned in, whether digitally or in person. And I look at this, I'll pull up our Sonia, make sure it's there. If you need to have your stuff framed, if you're here, and then I make sure that you get all that graded, okay? If this is done and say you got the whole thing done, I'll probably pull this sheet back up after I'm done with the project and go from there. Actually, we're gonna pretend. So let's say, yeah, I think I got 20 points here. I think I did not do a good outline on anything, so I'm gonna give myself 5 points. I feel like it's a little messy, I'm gonna give myself 3. So 25, 28. So I circled that, okay. Let's say our Sonia was all done, so 2 and 3, so that's 5. Now, final score, you count these by 2, because it's always out of like 100%. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So 100 minus 14 is 86%. Sorry about that. Teacher student score, 86%. This is what you think you should get, okay? And then I will give my score, which is, I usually put it here unless there's a deduction. Like if you don't grade it yourself, you lose 5%. Okay, so just make sure you get it done. Other than that, finish this all up, get this all done, find your 3 ideas, and then we will start chatting and figure out what you want to do. Okay, thanks. On here. So next is this. So this is your practice that you'll do. So it's warm next to cool. So this is your yin yang symbol. On this area it says use reds and yellows to color this section. The circle inside it should be blues with a white center. Outline outline any line in thin black and blend it in. So when you draw your piece, wherever your line is, your pencil line is, eventually that will be a thin black line. Okay, so I want to grab my reds. I think that's a red. I'm going to grab those 2 and my yellows here. So I have a scrap sheet of paper. Well, that's definitely a red. And that is an orange. So you always want to test it out. Whatever colors you end up using, I would keep in your toolbox for your project. You don't want to have to try to go back and find them again. So I have my red and my yellows, and obviously this is a yellow. If you do see that it is kind of dirty on here because the wrapper is off of here, and even when the wrapper is on, they do get even more dirty on here. So like looking at this white. The way you take care of that is you grab like a paper towel or toilet paper. This is a napkin. It doesn't work as well, but I don't have any other ones. I'm just going to take that and I'm just kind of doing my best job to gently, but I need to kind of press down inside of here to kind of get that oil pastel clean. Okay, so that's how you do it. Grab a toilet paper, a Kleenex, go back and forth on that, and you'll have a nice clean piece. Okay, so I'm going to take my red, and I'm gonna color this. When I color it, oil pastels are not known for their exact detail. So if you are a very tight drawer, this will be a good project for you because it'll help you try to loosen up a little bit. Okay, it'll probably infuriate you, but it's good practice. So I'm going around the outside. I'm going to go from a dark red to an orange to a yellow. So I know I want this area red for sure. That's what I'm kind of going in, but I know I'm going to sort of start transitioning into an orange. And I don't want to use orange because it doesn't say, it says use yellows. So now I'm going to kind of lightly go around the inside here. I want to hit this a little bit better. Now, this is very blunt. I can take my pencil sharpener, and I can go over a trash bag, or if you have a little compartment in your toolbox you want to set aside, I'm just going to use this cup. I want to go in and I want to get a sharper piece. Now this paper's interfering with it a little bit. Rip that off. There we go. Much better. Because now I can get in here a little bit easier. Okay, go on this side. I'm going to turn my paper, because when I color and draw, I do like to move this around quite a bit, because your wrist has a natural bend in it, so use that to your advantage and go with your sides. Now I'm lightly putting down red, because I want to leave part of that paper exposed. I'm going to be trying to get an orange in there when I do this. Okay, I'm going to take my yellow. I do want to kind of keep it yellow around here. So I'm doing that hard, still kind of doing it hard right here. And now I'm going to start doing circle motions. And I want to get a nice orange where these two are going to be hitting. So I'm going all the way up. When you work with oil pastels, I do not want to see any white of the paper showing when you are done. So if you have an area that's white, use a white oil pastel, okay? Because it leaves kind of a sheen on it, and it's very distracting and kind of ruins a piece if you have an area that's white but you don't actually use the oil pastel on that. So now because I left those gaps, I mean, it's a lot easier for me to get these oranges. If I didn't do that, it would be a lot harder and usually pretty noticeable. Again, I'm doing circles. Getting a little bit too much red on here. I want to kind of clean this up a little bit. And so I can get a better transition between the yellow and the orange. What I'm looking for when I grade this is, can I see where red becomes orange and orange becomes yellow? If I can see that, that's not good, because that means you didn't go in. And what I love about oil pastels is they are so fun to blend. So if I see those breaks, I know you didn't go in and do your circles good enough. Okay, center here, the inside should be blues with a white. That's purple, it's not gonna work. This is a blue. I don't know if I want to use that one, it's kind of hard. This one's more creamy. I think I'm gonna go with this one. And it says a white center. So I'm gonna go on the outside here. So the thing with yin and yang is that, you know, one analogy. So it's a symbol for like an Eastern religion where like this is evil, this shape right here would be good. So again, this is evil, and the spot right here is good. So this large shape, which is evil, has good in it. So everything that is evil has a little bit of good, and then everything that is good has a little bit of evil in it. So it's kind of a balance in the way they kind of intermix. That's kind of the thought behind it. It's kind of a fun symbol to think about. So I have that. Now I'm going to take my white. I'm going to go back with my blue again. Here's my black. I do need a sharp one on this one. So let me go in. Okay, so I have the sharp. On the outside here. I apologize, I forgot to do this. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with my red, and I wanna go in, because I wanna get a dark red. I kind of go in and I just barely kiss the edge of that black. And you have this beautiful, nice, deep red. So I just do these little motions, these circle motions. And you would do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure you blend those nice and good. And this section is done. I'm not gonna do this in front of you, but you're gonna do this one too. It says use blues and greens to color this section. The circle inside should be red. Okay, so you're gonna use a blue, use a green, work on those transitions. It's not two primaries, you get a secondary. This time it's a primary and a secondary. But you should still have those transitions, and the inside should be red with a white center. Okay, so this needs to be done. And this is your rubric. Tells you what you're being graded on. So the answers to these questions should be 5 points, and your drawing sample, which is this, should also be 5 points or 10% of your grade. So do a good job on it. Next one.